Have you ever noticed how certain miracles of Jesus get all the attention, while others seem almost forgotten? Everyone knows about Jesus walking on water, feeding the multitudes, raising the dead. But there's one miracle almost no one talks about. A miracle that reveals a side of Jesus you've probably never considered. A power so personal and a compassion so deep it could change everything. This is the story of the deaf man who was healed. A moment hidden in plain sight that holds one of the most powerful messages of all. Why does no one talk about this? What is it about this miracle that's so profound, so life-changing, that it was nearly forgotten? Let's uncover it together, because once you see this, you'll never look at Jesus the same way again. This story is found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 7. Jesus is journeying through the region of Decapolis, a place that wasn't predominantly Jewish. This was Gentile territory, an area many Jews would have avoided. But Jesus went where others wouldn't because his love knows no boundaries. He was there to touch hearts, even those whom society thought were outsiders. This encounter wasn't by chance. Jesus was on a mission to demonstrate God's love and power, not just for a chosen few, but for all humanity. Imagine standing among a crowd, dusty roads beneath your feet, the air thick with anticipation. People have heard of this man named Jesus, the teacher, the healer, the one who speaks with authority unlike any other. Suddenly, a murmur ripples through the crowd, growing louder. There's a man being brought forward, a man who has lived his whole life in silence, a man who can't hear or speak. And today, that silence is about to be shattered in the most unimaginable way. It's worth noting the courage of those who brought him. They believed somehow that Jesus could change everything for this man. They pleaded with Jesus to place his hands on him, hoping for a miracle. Here's where the story takes a unique turn. Jesus doesn't just heal this man in the middle of the crowd. He takes him aside, away from the masses. Why? Jesus wanted this to be personal. He wanted this man to know he was seen, valued, and loved. Jesus' healing was never just about physical restoration. It was an act of profound compassion. In a world where disabilities often lead to isolation, Jesus recognized the man's humanity, dignity, and worth. Jesus didn't just see him as the deaf man, but as a soul deserving of direct attention. Jesus was showing, as he always does, that love is not a performance for the crowd, but an act of personal, intentional care. Then came the incredible moment. Jesus did something very unexpected. He put his fingers into the man's ears. Then, he spit and touched the man's tongue. This might sound strange to us, but it was a symbolic act. Jesus was using touch, something the man could feel, to communicate that healing was about to happen. With this physical connection, Jesus was speaking to him in the language he could understand. And then, looking up to heaven, Jesus sighed. That sigh carried so much, perhaps a sadness for the brokenness of the world, a compassion for the suffering of humanity, and an intercession for this man's healing. Finally, Jesus spoke one word, Ephphatha, which means, be opened. In an instant, everything changed. The man's ears were opened, and he could hear sounds he had never heard before. His tongue was loosened, and for the first time he could speak clearly. Imagine the shock, the joy, the awe. A lifetime of silence was broken in a single miraculous moment. But this story goes beyond a physical healing. The command be opened wasn't just for the man's ears and tongue. It's a message for all of us. Jesus calls us to open our hearts, our minds, and our spirits to the work he wants to do in our lives. Like that deaf man, we often carry our own barriers, things that keep us from hearing God's voice clearly or speaking his truth boldly. How many times do we feel isolated, unheard, or trapped in silence because of our struggles? And yet, Jesus approaches us with the same compassion, desiring to heal the deep places of our hearts. His touch is there for all who are willing to be opened. This miracle is a reminder that Jesus' power and compassion know no limits. He meets us in our places of silence and struggle, reaching across barriers we thought were impassable. But there's something we must do. We must come to Him, bringing our needs, just like the friends of the deaf man did. We must be willing to trust in His timing, His method, and His deep love. This story challenges us to believe that nothing in our lives, not silence, nor pain, nor the barriers we've built up, is too great for Jesus to overcome. In every miracle, Jesus is pointing us to a greater truth, that God's love isn't just for a select few, it's for everyone, regardless of background, past mistakes, or brokenness. After the healing, Mark tells us that Jesus commanded them not to tell anyone. Yet, the more He asked them to stay quiet, the more they proclaimed it. People were overwhelmed with amazement, saying, "He has done everything well." Jesus' actions left such an impression that silence was impossible. This encounter was proof that He wasn't just a teacher or a prophet. He was and is the Messiah, the Son of God, with authority over sickness, sin, and every force that binds us. Today we are called to do the same, to proclaim what Jesus has done for us. When God moves in our lives, we can't keep it to ourselves. The transformation He brings is too powerful, too life-altering to remain silent. What about you? Are there areas in your life where you feel isolated, unheard, or unable to express yourself? Are there struggles you've kept hidden, believing that no one could understand or help? Jesus is saying to you, just as He said to that man, be opened. Allow Him to touch those places of silence and struggle. Allow Him to bring healing and restoration where it's needed most. Let's approach Jesus with the same boldness and trust as the friends of that man. Let's bring our needs, our hopes, and our faith to the one who has the power to transform. And as we experience His touch, let's proclaim His goodness, letting the world know He has done everything well. If you've been blessed by this message, remember, Jesus is still reaching out to heal, to restore, and to set free. His love is as strong today as it was on that road in Decapolis. Now, if you're ready to take the next step in your spiritual journey, we're here to help you unlock your spiritual potential and deepen your faith even further. In the video appearing now, we dive deep into 5 signs God is speaking directly to you and show you how to recognize each one of them. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring messages. May God bless you abundantly.